Hello there. Welcome to my thought for the day, and welcome especially to the many people who are finding me. I am amazed that the subscribers have topped 1,000, and it's increasing day by day. And I'm just so grateful to the Lord for what He's been doing, and grateful to Him every day for giving me something to talk about. As those of you who've been with me for a while will know, I've been doing this for about 4.5 years, since the beginning of the COVID lockdown here in the UK, and every day He gives me something to talk about. And today the thought that's been in my mind actually all over the night is the amazing way in which God makes a way to achieve His purposes. It's the verse is Isaiah 43 verse 19. It says, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Now these are impossible things. In the wilderness there is no roadway. God makes a way where there seems to be no way. As a song that we sing says, He works in ways we cannot see. God will make a way for me. And there are examples in the Old Testament and in the New Testament of God making a way for people, for things to happen in people's lives that were apparently impossible. I'm thinking of two particular examples. One is of Joseph. If you look at Genesis 37, Joseph, as a young man, a teenager, dreamed incredible dreams about grandeur. He was going to be bowed down to by his parents and his brothers. And he was the next but one youngest. And God gave him these dreams. And his father loved him, gave him the coat of many colours, as we know, the brightly coloured coat, treated him as a favourite. And what happened to him? His brothers were going to kill him, and then they sold him into slavery. He went into slavery, and for years he was a slave and then a prisoner. It seemed impossible that he could ever be the ruler that he knew God had called him to be. And God found an amazing way to get him to the top. And the story is there in Genesis to read, and you know it very well, that Pharaoh had dreams, and that Pharaoh's, first of all, two of Pharaoh's servants, the baker and the the cupbearer, dreamed in prison, and Joseph interpreted their dreams. God gave him the interpretation, and eventually he was remembered and brought before Pharaoh when Pharaoh had his unsettling dreams. And we know about the 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of famine. If you don't know the story, it's from Genesis 37 onwards. And then the other person I was thinking of was David. David, as a young man, was anointed king by Samuel, while Saul was king. And he was the youngest of his brothers, of 8 brothers. He was the youngest. He was just a shepherd boy. He was... How could he ever be king? There was a king on the throne, and the king had sons, and his eldest son, Jonathan, was David's best friend. And I wonder how many times David thought, well, how can I ever be king? My best friend will be king when his father dies. But God made a way for David to become king. And neither David nor Joseph ever did anything to hasten the fulfillment of the promises God had given them. They waited on God's timing, and they accepted God's timing, and God made a way for them. I think that's amazing. Thinking about a New Testament character, there is another Saul who became Paul. Saul, who was so adamantly against the new faith in Jesus, that he was going all over the place, arresting people, committing them to prison. He witnessed Stephen's martyrdom and consented to it, agreed with it. He was so hard fast against. How could it ever be possible for him to change? And God made a way for him to become the great apostle Paul. And even the early believers didn't accept that Saul had changed so much that he could be trusted. I've experienced in my own life God making a way to give me the desire of my heart. My heart, that's Psalm 37, verse 4. If we commit our way to God, he will give us the desire of our hearts. And I didn't even know it was a desire in my heart until it began to become possible for me to fulfill the role of a chaplain. I didn't even know I wanted to do it until it came up. But God knew what was in my heart, and he made a way where it was impossible. It was impossible with all the rules and regulations for me to become a chaplain. But God opened the way for me. He made a way where there seemed to be no way. And what he's done for Joseph and David and Saul, Paul and me, he will do for you. He doesn't treat us differently. He's no respecter of persons. I'm not an important person. I'm sure David didn't think he was an important person, and Joseph didn't think he was an important person. And neither did Saul, although he was a well-educated Pharisee. God takes whoever. If we're wholeheartedly sold out for him and we want to follow him, sometimes we do find ourselves in a desert where there seems to be nothing there. Nothing's growing. There's nothing going on. There's not even any water. How can I survive where God has placed me? How can I be fruitful for him? How can I be a tree bearing fruit? But that verse and back to Isaiah 43, behold, says the Lord, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. And he's the God who keeps his promises. Have a great day. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.